Welcome to the Roller Coaster Ride of Parenting podcast. I'm Jenny.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Susanna. And we'll be your hosts as we discuss the highs and the lows of the parenting journey.
We'll be having conversations based on the content from Susanna's book, A Childcare Expert's Guide to Enjoying Your Parenting. Throughout her time as a childcare owner and operator, Susanna has encountered many overwhelmed parents, and she wrote this book to encourage and equip them to be the best parents they can be.
This podcast is an opportunity to share more tips and tricks around the challenges that parents face. It's our hope that through our shared knowledge, experiences, and conversations, we help you to better embrace your parenting and enjoy your roller coaster ride.
Welcome back to the podcast. On today's episode, we'll be discussing different types of love languages, the importance of recognizing our own, as well as the love languages of those around us. We'll explore how we recognize love languages and using them advantageously can improve our relationships. We'll be referring to Susanna's book, as well as drawing on our own personal experience to hopefully provide you with some really helpful tips.
Oh, this is one of my favorite topics, I think, in the book. Like when I saw it was coming up, I was really excited. But yeah, we're talking about love languages, and I think the chapter in the book that it really comes back to is love is spelled time. So around quality time and how like where all of the love languages kind of take place in your family. So I was trying to think when I first heard about love languages. It's been a number of years, but I always, like even to this day, I still get confused. I always think I'm like quality time, physical touch. Susanna's kind of the guru at what they all mean and what they look like. Do you want to tell us a little bit about?
Yeah, sure. Well, basically everybody has different ways of wanting to receive love and giving love. And they're naturally built within us, and they will be different for different people. So the 5 basic love languages are physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, and acts of service. And so when we are able to understand ourselves, what are our love languages? In other words, what do we need from somebody to feel loved by that person?
So listening to that order, because you said them one at a time, that's pretty much the order they should be for everybody, right? I think you said physical touch was first. What was the next one?
Words of affirmation.
That should be 1 and 2 for everybody, right?
So you're saying you're a physical touch and words of affirmation kind of person?
That's definitely where I land in this, yeah.
Well, Ben, no wonder you remember those 2. Normally we do have 2. That's the thing. Normally we don't have 1 out of the 5. Normally we have at least 2. But the others will still be there for us. They will just have less importance for us.
Right.
Because it's basically the whole 5 that is the language of love.
Okay.
So we'll all have different amounts. But yes, Ben, you are right. Yours is physical touch and words of affirmation, and they just happen to be number 1 and 2 on my list.
As they should be.
Yeah. So, but they are very, very important. And once we understand that about ourselves and about each other, particularly with our partner, if we can understand that about each other and our partner, if our partner can understand that about us, then it takes a lot of confusion, a lot of complication out of our relationship. And then if we learn what our children's love language is, then it takes a lot of confusion and complication out of our relationship with our children, and we're able to meet their needs so much better.
I think it's really interesting how we're all so different and then often quite complementary. But just even that, I know when we first did this as a family, it was a number of years ago, but I thought, me and my husband are potentially the most opposite humans that could possibly get married and actually love each other. So we weren't surprised that our love languages were kind of at the other ends of the spectrum. But I'm very much a quality time, acts of service. Like I'll spend time with you. I will do things for you. Like if you are unwell, I will do all the practical. I will bring you a meal. That is the way I show love. And some people just don't necessarily appreciate that. Like my introvert friends don't like that. Like if I show up at their house, they do not appreciate my acts of service. But my husband on the other end, he is very much, he's in your camp. He's like
I've
physical
always liked
touch. Yes, he's a good guy. The physical touch and gifts. I think we probably both meet in the middle on like words of affirmation. Like we both would say kind words, like, big occasions, write a lovely card, like appreciate them, but they're not the first thing you go to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing to see how that like outworks in a family.
Yeah.
And now that the kids are kind of 8, so Max is 8 and Izzy's 6, their little personalities and their preferences are coming out really strongly. And I didn't realize, I didn't know until this year that there was actually a love languages test or like a little quiz that was in kid version.
Yeah.
Did you guys know about that?
I did, but I hadn't done it with my kids. I just guessed, but I'm really clever like that, so I worked it out by myself, Jen. But if you needed to use a test, that's fair enough.
Well, actually, Jen, yes, I did know. And I think they're fantastic. I think, well, there's a book, as you know, there's a book out called The 5 Love Languages, and there's one for adults and there is also one for children. And I think getting hold of those books is amazing. I forget even who the author is, but I'm sure you
Dr.
can.
Gary Chapman is the name of the author.
There you go. Good old Gary. But I'm sure you'd be able to go on Amazon and find them.
Oh, yeah. It's on Audible too. I just looked it up just before.
Oh, okay.
So Audible on Amazon, Booktopia has it.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to get a hold of.
It was interesting though. Like we went away on a family holiday last July. So we had a couple of weeks, just the 4 of us in New Zealand. Lots of like bushwalking and adventures and just lots of time to chat. The love is spelled time chapter in the book. We had a lot of time. And the more we talked about it, it was funny. I assumed, like I just made assumptions about my kids from as they were growing up, and I just thought there were certain things. And I kind of thought they were different actually, which is really interesting because when they went through and they answered the little questions that were in their language and they scored them, like it took them 10 minutes.
Yeah. Online.
Yeah. It was an online test. It was just a website we found.
Yeah.
And came out. And what was really interesting, and then as we had the conversations, I went, because my little boy, his were very similar to mine, which I knew that we were similar, like personalities, but I thought, he's very much an acts of service. Very much a quality time. He's not really that into gifts. Like I would have went gifts, physical touch, because when they're really little, they just always want to be on you and cuddling you.
Yeah.
So I thought, that was really surprising to me. But then as we started talking about it, I kind of thought, actually, like when, if I ever help him, like if I'm ever walking in and sometimes he'll be like sitting there and cleaning his room and he'd like, Izzy, the 6-year-old, she'll just go in, make it happen. She's done. Like, no help needed. Thanks very much. But he will get overwhelmed. Like, he won't know the next step. So if I go in and actually help him do that, he'll just look at me with these eyes that are half the size of his face and say, thank you so much, Mom. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
And I never realized how much that was something that was just really feeding like his little love tank. And I just went, actually, because I was probably parenting them the same way. I was saying, get upstairs, clean your room, get your pocket money because you clean your room. Izzy's obviously not having a problem with it, and I didn't realize the difference between them. So it was a real eye-opener. Izzy, on the other hand, hers were really mirrored to my husband's. Like she is really, she's a bit stronger on words than he is. So she really likes to have those, like affirmations, and she really likes you to say things she's great at, which was different. But I thought, it's just really interesting how the mix in families can be very similar and very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a real key point, that Izzy will automatically, you ask her to go and do a room, she'll do it because she wants the money and she can do it. And yet Max, because of the way he's put together, he becomes overwhelmed with it. But you're coming in and meeting his love needs by offering help, and then he jumps in and gets the job done with you. I think sometimes as parents we can think, well, he's not really learning to clean his room up on his own, but he actually is in time. But he's only a little boy at this stage, and so that love language really needs to be met. And I think that's totally fabulous that you're able to recognize that and understand that. And it's not like you're doing his room for him and he's not learning responsibility. He's still learning that responsibility, but he just needs that little bit of extra love language in that particular space.
Yeah, it's so interesting how the flow of really understanding the way your kids tick and the way your partner ticks and the way your family unit works.
Yeah.
Like you kind of like I changed the way we do pocket money. Like I changed
wow.
the way we do, like I set up the task because I've said, oh, you know what? It's not go do it when I say do it. Basically, across the week, we just need to like it's your responsibility to have your room cleaned. So how that looks, that's up to you. So and you still like Sunday's payday, so you get paid on Sundays. But I used to go, okay, it's Sunday, room's clean, no money. Like you know, so I was there was a harshness with it that I went, oh, it's not setting them up well at all. So I went, oh, that penny drop completely, and it was a really easy change, but it made it something that was a really good thing that they looked forward to versus
That's
it being
that's really good.
Yeah, it's powerful. I was just reflecting on sorry, I chipped you before mucking around saying that I didn't need to do the love languages. Clearly I do, because I was just thinking about the fact that I know my eldest daughters, Madison's and Amelia's, reasonably well. But I actually, thinking about it, I don't know what Tilly's are, my youngest. So there you go.
You can go home and do the quiz.
I'm going to have to, hey. And just how you kind of talk about parenting kids as individuals. That's hard. Like it's easier for me to parent my kids when they're like me, and in different ways. All three of my kids are like me, and when they're acting like me, they're easy to parent. And when they're acting completely different to me, I find that part challenging. And actually, trying to learn to be a good partner with Nell has been a real key for me to learn to partner even as a parent. So because Nell's love languages are the opposite of mine, so mine are physical touch, words of affirmation. So Nell, like physical touch must be 5, I think, because it's like always forever. Get off me, get off me. I've had the kids on me all day. Get off. And like because Emily behind the desk said that her partner came home and gave her a hug, and she was like, "Get off." And that's definitely what my wife does often. And that was really jarring for me for a long time until I learned that I was giving her what I wanted.
Yeah.
If I want to feel loved, I want physical touch and I want someone to tell me something nice about me. But that's not what she needs. She is acts of service and quality time. So if I want to show Nell love, I clean the house. On Sunday, we hung out for the day together, and she was having a bit of a rough week. And so I deliberately created space for us to go and do something fun. And to her, that shows love. Now, I didn't mind the day, but she really frothed it. She loved it. And I knew what was happening. I knew that was actually filling her capacity to feel cared about. But it's a real choice of that sometimes. I don't naturally do that. And if I'm not feeling great about myself, I definitely am expecting some kind of physical touch, whether that's a hug or to be next to me in the lounge or whatever. And I do want those words of affirmation. And so learning that for my kids too. So Maddie, my eldest, is very much physical touch. So that's easy for me. Amelia, my middle daughter, is much more that acts of service, and she does love time too. So spending time with her. But when she needs that, again, if I'm not in a great space, I don't feel like giving it to her. That's not energizing me. I'd rather be selfish in that moment. But when I'm being a good dad and when I can make healthy choices, again, it's that choice to give her time, to go listen to her, to go just hang out with her and stuff. And watching the girls and realizing what they're trying to do. Like Maddie's always up for a hug, and so like I feel loved by that. But Mealy will try to do an act of service for me, and I've got to remember, she's trying to show me she cares. Like, and sometimes that's hard for me too, because it's not how I necessarily want to receive love. I've got to remember what she's trying to do. Or like when Nell goes anywhere, she's like, "Who wants to come with me?" And I'm like, "Don't you want some space?" But she wants people to be with her, and Millie's the same. So Millie will often offer to come with me when I'm going somewhere, and it's like, and I enjoy it, but I've learned over time to appreciate it even more because she's actively trying to show me she cares about me.
It is really interesting because I think even in those family, like there's only the 2 kids,
Yeah.
and you can almost go, it's like often me and Max are very similar, so we get each other.
Yeah.
And Jared and Izzy, they just get each other. They're going to go out and do something physical. They'll go, master something sporting. Me and Max are inside with a book, like going, who can read faster? Like it's just the nerds and the athletes, like divide. But it's really interesting. Like it is sometimes an effort to cross over, and we're incredibly complementary. But I say like Jared has to make a really conscious effort to connect with Max, and I have to make a really conscious effort to like not butt heads with Iz, because we're both, sass. So it is really interesting being really aware, but it's almost that self-sacrificing in a way, like where you go, okay, this is what love looks like, and for you, this is what that looks like, and this is what you need. But it is amazing though too. Like I know, like you'll probably find this with Nell, like if Jared comes home and has cleaned the whole house and has given me space, I definitely probably want to hug him more.
Yes.
So it's a very mutual thing.
I was going to say that it is sacrificial to start with, but the reward you reap, it's soon, the sacrifice part of it soon vanishes.
Yeah.
And particularly when you're doing it with children as they're growing up, small children and teenagers, let me tell you from my point of view that when you're doing it with them there, the rewards you get when they're adult children, they're amazing. And those rewards just keep coming because you've gone to the effort of finding out their love language and meeting them where they're at.
Yeah, it's a way you can actually – everybody wants to be loved, right?
Yeah.
So if someone is choosing to communicate to you in your love language, of course you're going to appreciate that. And the more someone feels loved and cared about, the more they're going to want to spend time with you. Like it's crazy that to have 17 and 19-year-old daughters that want to hang out, but they genuinely do. And it's kind of crazy, but kind of cool. But that's been we've been developing a space where they feel comfortable, where they feel safe, where they feel loved for a long time. It didn't just happen when they hit their teens, but actually trying to partner with them, discover who they are, show them their love, show them that they're cared for. And over time, you definitely do reap that benefit.
I think that's one of the things I've really like our family's little, so like we're a young family, but watching, and that was in this chapter. I think that's something that you guys do really well. And I think, Susanna, you've often said different kind of just really practical advice. Like, there's nothing, super magical about this space, but it's just that really everyday stuff. Because like in the Love is Spelled Time, you talk about making time to go on bushwalks and making time for family nights. And I don't know, what would be your practical solutions about how to create this space in your family?
Well, I think it's just like what you were saying in your story before, because you were away together and you were doing all the things outside, all the activities together, that created the space that actually brought about you looking at everybody's love languages. And so space, very much like creating that space to actually be able to connect with each other and understand each other, even creating the space to do things like read a book about love languages for you and your partner, and love languages for your children, or going online and doing the tests. That all takes effort. It all takes space. And yes, for some people, the quality time is more important than others, but actually quality time is really important for every single person, because you actually can't have the physical touch. You can't have the words of affirmation. You can't have the gifts or the acts of service unless you're deliberately creating the space and the time. That doesn't mean that you have to do everything with the family all the time. It doesn't mean you can't have space to do other things as well, either individually or whatever. But that the time, if you create that time and think about not just the love languages, but what are people interested in? What are the different people in your family interested in? And see if you can get them covered so that one person isn't left out. Obviously, the more children you have, the little bit trickier that gets, but it's not impossible. I found with our 4 children, even though they have different love languages and everything, you can still make it happen so that everybody is covered. But it does take effort, and it means deliberately looking at it and deliberately coming up as a family, and particularly between the two partners, if you can work out how you're going to go about it so that it's not a burden, it's not a stress, but it actually becomes an adventure and something that everybody ends up enjoying. It might mean that one child, for instance, can be a bit uptight that we're going off to do a bike ride again, say for Max, your children, for instance. But then you can talk to Max and say, yes, but then when we do this, then we can have the time here. And Izzy will be, having space where we're not bike riding, we're doing reading. And what, your love language is being met there, Izzy's is being met over here. And as a family, we have to meet each other's love languages. You're really setting your children up for a great relationship when they get older, because as children, they're learning the value of different people's within the family, different people's love languages, and how to meet those, and how to actually not have to have their own met all the time, and that the world doesn't revolve around them.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful one. That sometimes there's a bit of a blue in my home when like one of my kids will want to play Monopoly or a card game or whatever, and the other's like, nah, I don't really want to. And we will actively at times go, no, we're actually going to do something as a family, because there's times when they do need to learn to actually give each other love. They do need to learn to serve each other. Like you're saying, the world doesn't revolve around them. And it is a challenge to hold your ground sometimes and go, no, we're going to do an activity that this child would like. But yeah, as long as it's fair, take turns in the activity of joining in to something that might not be your cup of tea, but is your siblings or is your parents sometimes. Like, no, we've decided we're all going to go on a car ride together. I don't really want to. Oh, well, as a family, we decide to do things together. Like, and that's been a challenge over and over in our family. But it's brought us closer together by choosing one another at times and pushing through those barriers when kids inevitably throw them up at you sometimes. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but
I
my
think
kids
too,
throw up challenges.
Yeah, and I think when you do everybody's love language, and if you sit down as a family and explain the different love languages, that makes a very big difference. And you explain to them that we're meeting Max's love languages at the moment, or we're meeting Izzy's love languages at the moment, and we're going to meet Dad's love languages, and we're going to meet Mum's, but we're all together. If we don't meet each other's love languages, we're not going to be whole. We're not going to be complete. And I know that Anna, my daughter, your sister, she's doing a really good job with that with her 4 children. Sarah is, she's 6, I think. Sarah's 6, Lucia's 10. So with those 4 children, she's helping them understand each other through their love languages. And so it's helping them not be as irritated with each other when they understand why. So maybe Ethan can understand why Sarah is doing something, and why if Ethan, he might need to be a little bit more patient, and maybe Sarah isn't ready to go and do whatever it is he's wanting her to do because her love language is being met over here at the moment, but his is going to be met another time. I just think it helps them value other people, which is so important for them to understand that. Value themselves, teach them their love language first so they can value themselves, and then to know the other people's in the family, because that's, let's face it, that's the first community that they know how to live in. That's the first society they know how to live in. That's the community and society they learn how to interact with each other, and that's preparing them for the bigger world when they are grown up. And so if they can learn it within that society, within the family society, then they're going to be set up that when they are older and they're out in that world, they'll be able to understand others better as well, but also understand themselves better and understand how to operate within society so much stronger. And they'll have a lot more resilience. A lot of parents today are worried about their children's resilience. Well, for the child to understand their love language and understand that other people have a different love language and they need to work within that, that really does help to develop resilience within them.
That's awesome. So if you had to sum up what this has been about in terms of love languages, what advice would you give to parents listening today around love languages, do you think?
I guess my biggest advice would be that we are all different. We're all put together differently. The interesting thing is that we are all put together often in a partnership. We usually are attracted to the opposite of who we are, strangely enough. And so there will be challenges in that with our partners, and also with our children. However, I've seen it happen over and over again. If you can understand each other and really value the differences, not just put up with the differences, but really value them, then the whole family unit is going to be so much stronger. So my advice would be that people go online and find the 5 love languages test. Do it with yourself and your partner. Do it with your children. Buy the books, because the books are fantastic. They teach you a lot more about then how to respond to the different love languages that your children will have and your partner will have, and how to bring the best out in them. You'll bring that gold out, because that gold is very much tied into that love language.
Awesome.
Oh, this has been such a lovely conversation. I love that point you just made about like your family is the first little village, it's the first group, and kind of prepares kids for society. And all those complementary things. Like I've never really thought about it like that. That's a lovely way to look at it.
Totally. So Jen, for you, like Susanna was just talking about almost those choices, like choosing to love. Like what's that look like for you and Jared? How do you guys create space or make those choices to love each other through the love languages?
Oh, I'm just thinking, I think it's one of those things, because we are so different. And I think we were just laughing the other night. We're getting close to 40, and we met when we were in like early 20s. So we're like, we've almost been together half our lives, which is a good kind of a turning point, I think. So yeah. I think early in our marriage, we probably really we're both pretty strong personalities. We're both the first child in our family. We're both strong is probably the best way I can put it. So there was places where we went, well, obviously, if you were like me, like this would work, yes. But you're not. And obviously the thing that was most attractive was that difference. Yeah. So I think even now, like I just think like probably some of our best moments, when we really connect is just when the kids go to sleep and you sit down on the couch and you get the quality time, and like I lean in, and like it is that like I know what makes Jared tick now, and it is just that really simple choices, in the day, like you're making space, like in those margins of time you have, to go, okay, you know what? You need a really big hug right now, and I just need to tell you all the things that have happened across the day. So Jared's like, I'm just going to sit here and listen to you get all your words out. Because that's my gift. But I'm not funny. I don't know. It is that it's just kind of your constant, like the more you know each other, the more you understand each other, the more you choose to do those practical things. Like, because this stuff, I think with the love languages, it is so practical. Yeah. There's nothing that's rocket science about it. It's just the everyday stuff. I don't know. Have you found the same thing? Like, or similar things?
Yeah, it's like we often think about love being this big romantic thing, and yet often it's being practical. It's really making that practical choice, knowing what your partner needs and what makes them feel cared for, makes them feel loved, and just choosing it, and just choosing to be practical with it. Make the steps, take the time. Like I think we started off by saying that love is time, and for all of those love languages, it's actually taking the time to implement them. You can know what your partner's love languages are, but then you've got to make that choice to carve out some time to actually implement those love languages and genuinely show that you care. And there's times where I'm good at that and times where I'm not. But yeah, we've definitely got much better as we've got older and more appreciative and more. I've never felt so loved, I don't think. I'm 44, so we've been married 22 years, so half our lifetime.
You got half too.
Yeah. Nell was 20, so more than half her lifetime, but yeah.
I think actually when you think about it, the love languages, when you know them and understand them about your partner and your children, it's extremely empowering, really empowering. It almost creates a freedom because it is so empowering. You can make such wiser choices and get such better results with your partner and your children.
Actually, that's probably like you when you know what flicks someone's love switch.
Yeah.
It is easier. Like I just think about the years when I was like, I don't know, perfectly folding underpants because I'm an active service, and Jared's never going to notice that in his life that all of his clothes are clean. It's just. But all those years that I've completely done all the things, and it wasn't the thing that really filled him up at all. So now I'm very intentional. Like I know,
and it takes the frustration out of it for you.
Yeah.
Because you get if that's your love language and you do that so that he knows he's loved and it doesn't work.
Like
that's so frustrating and disempowering of you.
100%.
Whereas when you understand his love language, it's totally empowering of you.
100%. Like now there's no more sassily dropping baskets of clothes to someone who does not even care.
Yeah. To give him the big hint.
Yeah, the big hint that is like, what is going on with her?
If he notices at all.
Probably not. Probably made me feel bad to drop. Like.
Yeah, so true though. Like I think, been there many times where I thought I was showing love or demonstrating I needed love and just got a blank response. So to know what those things are and to be able to appreciate them, makes
and
life
I think
much
that's why
easier.
it's called love language, because it is a bit like two people speaking a completely different language and trying to understand each other. How does, for instance, a Balinese understand an Aussie when the Aussie understand the Balinese if they don't speak the same language? They haven't got a hope. Well, they can use sign language, I guess, and maybe a bit of guessing. But when you know each other's love language, then you can speak it.
Very cool. Well, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like I've learned a lot. Just to see you go.
Well, next week, I think we're talking about forgiveness and understanding, which is probably a great follow-on from this one.
Definitely. So thank you for joining in our conversation today. And remember to enjoy your parenting roller coaster ride.